Hey guys, Youngblood with you, and today what I wanted to do was cover a little bit of the video from the first Multicrew demo that we actually got from the Gamescom presentation. Now, for those of you that haven't seen it, I'm going to have a link in the description for you to go check it out, because you really need to see the whole thing, because it is just phenomenal. And I've got some of this in the background, but I'm not going to do the whole thing, because it is about 20 minutes. And the good news is that you get you get Chris Roberts talking throughout the thing, so you kind of get a little bit more information when you actually have the audio there. Now, one of the first things that I wanted to talk about is just the sense of scale that we're going to have in this game. You know, here we are, a couple dudes walking around on this landing pad. We've got our ships, which we think in general are fairly big, but this, we're looking at this space station, and the space station is, several kilometers long. And Roberts actually mentions in his conversation that the gas giant that you saw that we're kind of orbiting around, that gas giant is almost like 200, I think it was 160-something thousand kilometers in size. So when you start getting a real scale, a scope of the environment that we're playing in, it's really just crazy. You know, there's not much else you can say. Now, we're going to get a taste of something in just a little bit that's going to really kind of show how we can deal with some of those scopes, and that's going to be the quantum drive. But before we get to that, one of the things that we get to kind of experience here is actually loading up into ships. And now that we're familiar with, but you can actually get a taste of what it's going to be like to get into a multi-person ship, kind of like we are right here in the Cutlass. As we kind of see this video, you get a taste of getting into the seats, taking off together, and just what the overall environment inside the ship is going to be like. And I think this is probably what we kind of expected, or kind of what we've been speculating we're going to see. But I think there are going to be times in game where if you're just a passenger, you're going to be just hanging out with your buddies, and I think that is kind of fun. You know, it's going to be kind of funny, a lot of yuck it up type of situations. Now, there's probably not going to be a whole lot of situations where you're just kind of sitting around, because most of the time you're going to be manning a turret or doing something, but you kind of get the environment and a little bit of a taste. So as we, kind of already mentioned, the quantum drive, it's how you cover massive distances without actually having to, jump using a jump engine. It's in-system travel. And in this example, we're selecting a derelict target that's off in the distance, and that's the purpose of the mission. That's what they were really showcasing in this video. It's how that's what you're doing. You're going to repair or steal a derelict ship. So here, you can actually see the pilot's actually targeting this derelict, and we're about to spool up the quantum drive. Now, the quantum drive is a lot of fun. If you're an Elite Dangerous player, this is going to be kind of the Super Cruise equivalent. You're not actually jumping systems. You're in Super Cruise within system. And it looks like this is going to plot a nice little course for you, hopefully meaning that you're not going to ram into anything, that your ship's actually smart enough to do that. Now, while you're in Super Cruise, I don't know how much flexibility you're going to have as far as being able to, or not Super Cruise, Quantum Drive, how much flexibility you're actually going to have as far as, turning and maneuvering, if any. My gut says that this is kind of you set your location, you make your jump, and you're just in a straight line. It makes more sense that way, but who knows? So here you can see it. It's really pretty. You kind of get the visualization of like the stars going by in the distance. You get kind of the color shift and the kind of the just lens flares. Overall, it's a really nice look, and you can kind of see everybody jumps out together. I guess you might need to be careful, otherwise you might ram your Super Hornet escort. But here what we're doing is you can actually see that this crew is moving into this asteroid, and you can see the contact on the radar there, that there is a derelict ship, and that's what they're about to do. So I'm going to skip this ahead just a little bit to show you the next portion of this. Alright, so now that we're here, basically what's happening is we're going to EVA, and I keep saying we because it's just kind of natural to me, but these players in this demo are going to EVA, going to exit the ship and actually float over to the derelict, which in this case is actually the Reclaimer, or the Retaliator. And basically what they're going to do is they're going to try and get it back online so they can, rescue the derelict and probably sell it for scrap. But outside of just tooling around in, the different game modes that we have and maybe free flight, this is a pretty good opportunity to kind of see what sort of environments we may have. And here you get a real good look at actually players kind of drifting through space and trying to access the ship. Now, once we actually get into the ship, you're going to notice that they're going to be trying to get it online. And that's going to happen through a couple different ways. But they're going to be going up and restoring gravity. They're going to restore power. And it looks simpler than I kind of expected it to be. I think we read about a lot of this stuff being skill-based. So I don't know how much of this is just the fact that it's a demo or a test bed. But, you kind of get the idea that it's going to be a little bit easier than we expected. And that may be a good thing. It may be a bad thing. But it's still cool to see that that's functionality in this game, especially this early on right now. It's also really cool to see the way that players actually enter the ships. You know, you're coming in head first, you're positioning yourself, you're landing. I mean, it's like straight out of a sci-fi movie. It's just awesome. And this video in general is the one that I think restored faith in people that this game is going to be what we really want it to be. I think there's a lot of doubters out there and a lot of people that have a lot of concerns, and I think this really put a lot of people's minds at ease. So this is where I'm going to kind of give you a brief update on what's coming in this video, and then I'm going to skip ahead just a little bit because there's quite a bit of combat. But basically what we're seeing now is the gravity being restored, and what this is all setting up is the opportunity to actually get the ship flyable. You get power, you get your gravity, you're able to move around, you're able to shoot your guns, you're able to fly, and that's what the really important piece is. So what the plan was, I assume, was to take this ship back to that space station with no issues. Well, that doesn't turn out to be the plan, as we're going to see, because there's going to be a ship that actually jumps in and engages these people in combat. Now, what ends up happening is we're going to have we're going to see one of the guys actually get into a couple of the turrets on the Retaliator. We get the Super Hornet and the Gladius that ran as escorts actually engaging, and the bad guy ends up being a Cutlass. So we get to see Multicrew on the Cutlass as well. And speaking of that Cutlass, here we go. Now, this Cutlass is on the other side of the asteroid field, and I don't know if they've been waiting for an ambush or what the actual background story of this is. But within the Cutlass, you actually get to, or not the Cutlass, the Constellation. I don't know how many times I've said that, but it's obviously a Connie. But you actually get to experience the Connie jumping in, and then, you know, you get a couple different views from within the Constellation. You get the real cockpit, you also get one of the co-pilots there playing around with the shields, and you get the actual view of what it may be like to be in the different environments. In there you get a gunner. So these are kind of the different stations, and you start to get a real idea, a visualization of what it's going to be like when you're working together as a crew. Now, as they move in, they're going to start to engage. You see some missiles go off, and now you're going to get to kind of your first real taste of multi-crew combat. You know, you may have fudged it a little bit in some of the other game modes, trying to make it work by putting a second person in your, you know, maybe like your Cutlass turret. But it doesn't really compare to what we're seeing here. You know, a couple ships with multiple turrets, you get 2 multi-crew ships, you get 2 single-seaters, and you kind of get this overall scope of battle. Now, as you go through this battle, you kind of get an idea of what it's going to be like to sitting in these ships. And I think what's even more kind of impressive is how well visually it holds up. You know, the background visualizations are really, you know, smooth. Now, I'm sure they're on badass computers testing this out, but, you know, the rounds look good. It's not glitchy. I mean, this looks fairly polished for where we're at in-game. And I think you all of a sudden get to see some just really, really cool looking combat and some things that are going to be really exciting. And one of those things is going to be bigger scale weaponry. And what they're showcasing here, or at least just one piece of it is remember, the Retaliator is a torpedo bomber. And you get to actually see some of those torpedoes get fired. And the resulting explosions are awesome. And actually seeing this Constellation get destroyed in the resulting explosion and just decompression is really, really awesome. You know, it doesn't look like some Michael Bay movie explosion or something out of Hollywood. It looks like something that's futuristic, something that's sci-fi, something that, you know, some futuristic technology going supernova. Those types of things, I think, kind of give us a really good environment. I don't know, it's just immersive, and I just love watching it. You know, I don't know how enticed you are by this, but you're about to get that explosion right here. The blues, the ram from the Super Hornet, probably pretty accurate in game, and then all of a sudden it just goes. So I think that is just crazy awesome to see, and it's just something that gets me so excited about this game and actually destroying some bigger targets and seeing the resulting explosions like that. So now that you've actually completed your job, we're super cruising back to the station with your new prize. And now the one thing I didn't see was them actually ejecting somebody to pick that Cutlass back up to bring it back, because that's still just a ship out there. You've replaced one ship for another, but you know, maybe you should have EVA'd one turret person, but that's probably not real exciting to see in video. But here we are, we're back at the station, and now we're in a bigger ship. You know, the Retaliator is quite a bit bigger than that Cutlass is, so you kind of get a taste of what it's going to be like to fly around in here and actually land it. And one of the things that we're going to see coming up is a nice little teaser that, you know, Chris decided to throw in for us. And that little teaser that we're about to see is going to be the big-ass Idris. And that's right, we get our first taste. Now, I know I keep saying that, but it's because I'm giddy. I can't really think. I just like watching this, and I like talking about it. But we get to see the Idris actually do a flyover. Now, we don't get any views inside the ship, but we do get a couple angles of it, and we get a kind of a sense of scale. And I knew the Idris wasn't just huge. It's not massive, but it's a big ship. It kind of looks a little smaller than I expected it to, but it looks really robust. It's thick. It's kind of just, to use a dirty word, girthy. But, I mean, it's just another thing that makes me kind of, you know, just... It's a jaw dropper, you know, and it was just a lot of fun to see. So there's a link in the description if you want to go check out this full video. I highly suggest it. Otherwise, stay tuned for more content, and I'll talk to you guys later. Take care.